I just realized that I had my microphone muted. All right, so I apologize for that. It looks like we're back to being live on Facebook and YouTube. If you still have any problems hearing me, just let me know. I've adjusted my microphone level and my microphone placement. Let me try one more thing. And hopefully that'll work. Check, check. 1, 2. I'll move it back over here. Hang on. All right, so now we got the microphone right back here on me. I apologize for any issues and confusions and the hiccups in our connection there. And I need to see about getting a lapel mic for myself, apparently. Notes for moving forward. Still a learning experience. All right, so we have our fruit. We have half a cup of Greek yogurt, and I brewed up about 16 ounces, give or take, of green tea, and I did a cold brew, and that is very literally just taking your tea bag and your water and just setting the tea bag in the water in the fridge overnight, at least 8 hours or a little bit longer. Not ever having to apply heat, just letting the green tea pull the water pull all of that green tea out of the bag. So I've used so far maybe about half a cup of green tea. We're going to blend this up and see how smooth it gets. If we need to add a little bit more of that green tea in there to get it a little thinner for freezing and pouring, we'll do that. But I think we're going to be good here. I'm going to mute myself so that you don't get all the racket of the blender. All right, so that's blended up pretty well. I'm gonna take a look at it here. I think we're just gonna need to add just a little bit more green tea, just to kind of help everything get incorporated and combined. Yeah, we still got a chunk of pineapple right there. But as you can see, we got our green tea on top. Everything's blending up really, really well. It's got that nice purple color from our blueberries. And I'm just going to blend this up a little bit more, let it get a little bit more combined, and try to give y'all a little bit better view of it as well. So I'm going to get us muted and get back to blending. All right, and we're going to check one more time, make sure and see what our consistency is, and that is pretty good. I'm going to use my Greek yogurt knife here because it's all Greek yogurt. Stirs up pretty well. All right. And I've used all my fruit there. Cool. So just to let you see how thick our fruit mixture has gotten, and make sure it's good. And it is. That banana is very strong, but I like it. Very, very tutti frutti. So, let me grab my pen here. This guy didn't know he was going to be pulling double duty today. But typically, of course, with something like this, we would want to use something more along the lines of a popsicle mold. But there is one issue with that. I couldn't find any popsicle molds when I went shopping. So, I did a DIY popsicle mold approach. Because really all you need is something that's good to go in the freezer and isn't going to mess up, isn't going to break or crack. But also isn't going to break or crack when you try to release what you've got in there. So, let me pull my blender blade out of here. And yeah, the lid has a spout for pouring, but it loses more of what's in the blender, I feel like, than what you're actually making the convenience for. So we're just going to pour. We're going to start out by pouring about halfway up these guys, and then we'll go back over them. Whoop. Well, I thought I was going to do about halfway up. So we're just going to work on filling these guys up here. I've got 6 of them. We might end up needing a little more, or I might just have myself a little smoothie here. Okay. Looks like I might need to do about 1 more cup here. And this is like perfectly sweet without any extra added sugar, extra processed sugar. You've got some protein from your Greek yogurt. You've got a whole lot of vitamin C and antioxidants out of all the fruit you got there. And the green tea. I am a fan of green tea. So, there we have 8 of our popsicles, and I'm going to get rid of this trash right here. 8 of our popsicles. And to kind of make things a little bit easier, I did a MacGyver approach. How are you going to have popsicles without a popsicle stick? So, let me get my popsicle sticks up. We'll drop some popsicle sticks. Okay. So we've got our popsicle sticks. And to kind of help them stay in place while they freeze, I'm going to go ahead and put one of my lids on here. So these are just little snack cups that I picked up with lids from Walmart. It's store brand, nothing special. That's just something to kind of hold the shape and let it freeze. But what I've done is I've gone through on some of these, and I'm going to have to do it on a couple more, and made a little window on there, just kind of like a top of a drink, so that we can stick our popsicle sticks in there to support and freeze our popsicles around. And hopefully I can get these lids together and throw this in the freezer, and maybe we can have a popsicle by the time the stream comes to an end. I'm feeling the heat out of that oven though, that's for sure. All right. Yeah. All right. And if you need, I didn't do that. If you need to, you can add another popsicle stick on there to help reinforce. Make sure you've got that lid on really, really good and snug. You don't want that popping out. That's the last thing you want to do is go picking these up, put them in the freezer before they get formed, and then just have smoothie puree everywhere. Hey, look at that. Pascal giving me one more than I thought I had. Okay. Make sure the lid's on good. We don't want any spills. Especially like, tomorrow's July. I know that's crazy to think, because I am still getting my days lined back up with the transition from full-on quarantine, and as we're getting back into the office and reestablishing and reopening campus. Come on. Yeah. That lid did not want to go on there. So I've been getting adjusted and learning things. Yeah, tomorrow brings July. I'm just going to cut one more of these lids real quick. Tomorrow brings July with it. And at this part of a Georgia summer, there ain't that much too sadder than just losing a bunch of popsicles you just made. Ugh. Okay. There we go. And you know what? That's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to double up on my popsicle sticks to reinforce this hold a little bit. I actually want them side by side. I want them side by side, but the lids ain't going to cooperate with me to make that happen, so I'm just going to do that. Oh yeah, very easy to prepare. All you need is the blender. And you can go on you can go on Amazon, or you can go to like Walmart. I know they have them on the website, and the app was telling me they had them in store, but I couldn't find them. But you know, you don't have to go into this finagling way of MacGyvering popsicle molds. You can get silicone popsicle molds, plastic popsicle molds. I didn't find any. I couldn't find any when I was shopping, so this is what we got. All right, so here we are. 8 fruit and yogurt smoothie popsicles. We're gonna stick them in the freezer, let them form up, and while that's going on, I'm gonna wipe this down and clean it off. We're gonna get ready to make some peanut butter cookies. So let me get rid of our dishes here. Put that in the freezer. We got one of my popsicle sticks wanting to lean on me. There we go. Cool. All right. Next up gets to be a fun part. Let me check out our chat. Oh, hey, I see. Sorry, I missed a lot of our chat from Facebook. I'm back over here. I apologize that I didn't realize my chat was only looking at YouTube. I've got YouTube and Facebook up and running for chat now. So the fruit that was in the popsicles was bananas. I had 2 bananas, about maybe a cup, give or take, of blueberries, a cup of assorted strawberry and pineapple and mango chunks, a little bit of fresh pineapple. And I think that was all the fruit I had in there. About half a cup of Greek yogurt, and I think I used maybe about between half and a third of a cup of green tea, and that can really just be up to your preference. So, next up is gonna be cookie time. So let me give a wipe down of our bowl here. All right, so cookie time. It's gonna be really simple for us. We have minimal ingredients. to make peanut butter cookies. You can do this with any kind of peanut butter you like, any flavor, any brand, what have you. Just make sure that it's smooth peanut butter. Trust me, I like some crunchy peanut butter every now and then, but we're making cookies. The cookie's gonna have plenty of the crunch. But here's the even better part of it. This cookie recipe is not gonna have any flour, and it's gonna be 100% gluten-free, because I know some of our students and that we have at Southern Crescent, some of our alumni have gluten intolerances, but also, you know, maybe you're trying to avoid some of those carbs. Maybe you just can't have flour, can't have gluten-based stuff. That's totally fine. That's why I'm getting this nice little cookie recipe up for y'all. We'll grab some cold ingredients here. All right. So, if you watched the last cooking stream, our quarantine kitchen, back in April, you might remember me saying something talking a little bit about baking. Because baking was like one of the first things that I learned how to do as a kid. As a result of that, baking's always been something I've loved to do. And the most commonly used tool in my baking arsenal is my kitchen scale. Because we're cooking, but always remember, baking is really chemistry. And I say that because your best way to measure anything when you're baking is by mass. To preface what I'm about to do. So, I'm going to measure by mass. We want 268 grams of peanut butter, which is also going to roughly come to be about a cup of peanut butter for us. So I'm just going to scoop out 268 grams, or about a cup of peanut butter. And remember, we're doing that because this is chemistry. We want to make sure that we make just the right chemical reaction happen to give us some cookies. All right, we're going for 268 grams of peanut butter. That is 273. So I'm going to get just a little bit out of there off the top. A spoonful of peanut butter is tempting to just lay. It's one of those simple joys in life. Some peanut butter. So this recipe is eventually going to only call for one singular egg, so I'm going to go ahead and use my lid from the cup that is traveling in. All right, so we have 1 cup, or 268 grams of peanut butter. Turn that off. As we see right here, and I'm just going to go old-fashioned, and we're going to be mixing this up with the wooden spoon. Behind me, I have, peanut butter cookies next. But behind me, I have the oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So, going on with our ingredients, and remember, like I said, I prefer, best way when we're cooking or when we're baking is to measure with mass. So, pre-measured my sugar. We have 2 different kinds of sugar going into the cookie here. We have our white granulated sugar and our brown sugar. I'm using light brown sugar. The recipe originally from Out and Brown calls for dark brown sugar. Light brown sugar is what's in my pantry right now. I need to use up my light brown sugar. And personally, I've kind of preferred the way this turns out with light brown sugar. So, we have 120 grams each, which makes it really easy because then, especially with the brown sugar, you don't have to worry about packed or unpacked, or 120 grams, or about half a cup of lightly packed brown sugar. But if you use the kitchen scale, that'll make everything a whole lot easier. Another half cup, or 120 grams of white sugar. And we're just going to go ahead and mix that up. Let me adjust our camera angle a little bit. Whoop. Hey, we're gonna come for a ride. Sorry about that. There we go. That way, how you doing? I'll go down here and talk to you while we get that mixed up. And you could probably do this with a hand, like a power mixer or an electric mixer or a stand mixer, but you don't need to. Just let everything mix up and stir up and just kind of, excuse me, kind of smash that sugar into the peanut butter and get it all creamed in for it. Just to make sure I have everything mixed up really well, we're gonna scrape down our spoon here and give everything another stir. I'm gonna pick up the bowl just so I can put a little bit more oomph into the mixing. So, I know if you're watching, you're like, he's still working on sweets and dessert. Well, that's because we're gonna let the cookies cool and the popsicles freeze while we make the main course. All right. So, here we are. As it is so far, our peanut butter cookie. Try to get my camera angle right so that I can give you all a good view of it. There we go. Sorry about that. So, peanut butter and sugar. That's all we've got so far. Next up, we're going to add in some flavory goodness and then some. So I'm going to pull my teaspoon measurement. Now we want, actually I need my half teaspoon measurement too. So, we want to use just half a teaspoon of some salt. Don't do too much salt, because remember that you're going to have a good amount of salt already in that peanut butter. We're going to add in a teaspoon of baking soda. And remember, we don't have any flour in here. The baking soda is what's going to help everything set, because we also have the egg. The baking soda is actually going in here for the egg, if I can get my teaspoon. Also, I want to say thank you again, if y'all are watching, to the SCTC Culinary Program and Dr. Roz McCurry. Dr. McCurry helped coordinate me getting access here to the Culinary Lab at Southern Crescent. Let me angle this up a little bit. Dr. McCurry helped me out. Chef Lisa Mobley is facilitating my use of their space, and I am so very grateful to have this opportunity. All right, and last but not least, out of these, we're going to use a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Add that in there. We're going to crack our egg, and then we're going to stir it up. And then guess what? That is all, folks. That's all we put in there. So we're just going to mix all that up by hand, good old-fashioned way. And, you know, good thing is that cooking can very much be a family project. So this is definitely something you can get your kids involved in. Get them to do it. Pardon me, I've got live cameras here. So, just keep on keeping on and mix it up. Get everything good and combined. Here comes the silicone spatula to scrape everything off and try to get everything just how we want it. Oven is still preheating for us back there, so we've got it going on. I just want to scrape everything down here, give it one more good mix up. Just make sure we have everything. And actually, what I'm going to do is that. There we go. I'm just going to switch over here to the spatula. No shame in it being pink. That is the best spatula I have ever had in the kitchen. How's our chat going? Checking out the chat now. Have a question of how would I need to pay my $40 for my degree? I do not have the answer for that. I apologize. I would suggest contacting the registrar's office with that question. You may also be able to get that answer through the current students page. We now have our live chat feature available. So you use that, you'll actually get to talk to somebody here at the college. Get all that slapped off. All right. So just like that, that's our peanut butter cookie dough. I'm going to move some of these ingredients out of the way. Pull our pan back. All right. So, 350 degrees. We're going to end up baking these cookies for about 20 to 30 minutes, give or take. And remember, different ovens cook differently. They have different heat properties. Also, different pans are going to cook differently as well. For point of reference, I actually just got these pans about a week ago. I've never had such high mirrored, pretty, like shiny, and they're aluminum, but I've never had such shiny pans to cook with. I've always had the recipes I am going to be posting up following the live stream. Excuse me. I'll post them up as a comment here. Also, if anybody watching has any recipes that you would like to share now, or if you'd like to come back on YouTube or Facebook and make a comment for a recipe that you would like to suggest, by all means, be my guest. You're fully welcome to do so, because I'm going to be doing this again, and I'd love to feature some of your recipes here on Tiger Bites. All right. But like I was saying, different pans have different properties, different heat transfer. So I realized that how I usually cook these cookies, 30 minutes was a little too long, and I had some burned bottoms. So we're gonna go for about 20 minutes and give a check, and see how it goes from there. I'm expecting 20 to 25 minutes is going to be our best bet. So, with these cookies, you can, excuse me, scoop them out with a disher, like a little 1.5 tablespoon ice cream scoop, or, excuse me, or you can do the old-fashioned method of a couple of spoons, scrape back and forth. Personally, I've preferred doing it by hand. Like I said, I will be posting these recipes after the fact, but while I'm getting these rolled out, I'll walk y'all through it as well. So first, I'm going to, actually that's a little much, so I'm going to take this dude right here. We want about a golf ball size. So, just like that, and we're just going to go ahead and set that on there. And you don't want to put more than 8 cookies on a pan. So, for the recipe, if you'd like to write this down, I'm going to post it up after we get done with the stream today. But if you'd like to write this down, we started with 1 cup of peanut butter, or 268 grams, a half cup of white sugar, granulated white sugar, and a half cup of lightly packed brown sugar, or 120 grams of each. That's white sugar and light brown sugar. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. All right, so that was, let me start over now that I've lost my train of thought. So 1 cup or 268 grams of peanut butter, a 1/2 cup each or 128 grams each of granulated white sugar. I apologize that that is going to be going on and I am not going to be able to foresee it. But what was that? So we've got peanut butter and sugar, and every time this alarm goes off, it keeps throwing me off on the recipe. Cup of peanut butter, 1/2 cup of each of the sugars, light brown and white. A teaspoon of baking soda, not powder. A teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 egg. And combine that all together, and you get this. And depending on your size, you can get between 18 to 25, give or take, cookies out of 1 batch. I think we should be getting about 24 or 25 out of this now. Well, I think I can get 2 dozen. I might have made a couple of them a little too chunky. But that's all right. That's not a bad problem to have. That just means when you go to grab 1 cookie, you're grabbing 2 instead. Once again, I apologize for that. We do have some construction going on here at the Griffin campus. So I know that some of the fire alarm system is being tested out and worked on. So we get a little chirp from it every now and then. So I apologize for that surprise. Oops. Thank you. All right, and the last cookie. So it looks like I got a feeling I've got some deans that are going to be coming and looking for some of these cookies after they bake. All right. So, that's all of our cookies. Ended up getting just shy of our 2 dozen. 21, that'll be all right. 21? No. A dozen. 21, 22. I know math. And, of course, we've got to make sure that people know that these are peanut butter cookies. So let's make sure we want to just take our fork for that good old-fashioned crosshatch pattern and just press it straight down and slide out. You might need to hold on to the parchment paper around the cookie or put a little bit of pressure on the cookie to help hold it down right there. My thoughts on eating raw cookie dough. I am not a culinary or medical health professional. That being said, raw cookie dough may as well be ice cream for me. I don't know though. I've never eaten raw peanut butter cookie dough. I figure why go through all the effort? You're either going to have a peanut butter cookie or you're going to get a scoop of peanut butter out of the jar. Personally, if I'm doing peanut butter cookies, I'm looking forward to them being, you know, half cooled out of the oven and get a tall glass of milk. Oh, I should finish cross-hatching the rest of these. So, I got a feeling there is a room full of hungry deans around the corner. Trust me, I do plan on sharing some good spirits today. I'm not making all these sweets for myself, even though it looks like I could handle it. So the crosshatch pattern on peanut butter cookies is something that I can take or leave. I'm not, like, it's traditional. I'm not that, like, married to the idea of doing it and continuing to do it, because personally I don't have a problem with just pushing the cookies down and letting them bake. But for some people, you got to be able to see that pattern to know that it's peanut butter cookies. And it's a courtesy thing. You don't do this for any cookie other than peanut butter, but still. All right. So, 22 peanut butter cookies about to be fresh baked. We're going to park them in the hot box here, right behind me at 350 degrees for about 25 minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes, flip my trays, to make sure that they get cooked evenly, and then check them again after another 10 minutes. So let me get my phone here, and I can tell the Google what to do for me. Okay, so we are going to throw these right on in here and go to town. Set a timer for 10 minutes.
All right, 10 minutes, starting now.
All right. So, recap. That was 1 cup of peanut butter, a half a cup of white sugar, a half a cup of lightly packed brown sugar, or lightly packed light brown sugar, or I'm going to be posting the gram so that you can measure by math in a little while. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, or no, not baking powder, baking soda, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 egg. And that is your gluten-free peanut butter cookies in the oven. They'll be ready in about 20 minutes. Next up, we move on to the main course. So, let me get some of these goodies out of the way. And let me show you what we have coming up. So, we have our treats cooking. We have our cookies in the oven. We have our popsicles freezing, which I'm actually about to go check on those in a moment. What are we going to have as our main course to go with it? How about a fish po' boy? So, to get started with that, in a little while we're going to be frying up some tilapia fingers. Breaded, fried, all ready to go. But what I'm about to do, there's a main course. Do I look like I got here by not having a main course, Dr. Brumfield? Come on. So I'm going to get our oil heating up and get everything ready to fry. While that's heating up, we're going to get started on the spicy slaw. So let me get everything together. So I'm going to add a little more oil to the pan. It's just a Dutch oven that I have some canola oil in that I'm frying with. And like I said, my goal is to demonstrate, I'm in here in our wonderful culinary lab at Southern Crescent, but my goal is to demonstrate everything that I'm using is stuff that came from my home kitchen. So I'm wanting to show you that everything can be done really wonderfully, really tasty with consumer level goods. So we've got our oil heating up. I never did transition. So as you see back there, we have our oil heating up, and I am about to get started on making our slaw. So just give me one moment, and I'll be back for slaw. All right. Whoop. Cool. So we got our timer still going. We make sure and check on our chat and comments. Some hungry friends in Mobile 6. Yeah, there is a couple of hungry friends out there in the mobile units, and I ain't gonna be short on food right here for a moment. All right. So, slaw. We're not going to do a traditional coleslaw. I'm not even much of a coleslaw fan, if I'm going to be honest with you. But what I'm going to do today is going to be something a little bit different. So let me go wash off my spatula, because I'm going to be using that to help toss it. All right. Spatula is back and ready to go. So our slaw is going to be something a little different. It's not going to be a traditional coleslaw, not by any stretch of the word. It's going to be spicy. It's going to be zesty. And we're going to have some nice green cabbage, red cabbage, and carrots for color. Also have a wonderful garden fresh jalapeno that we're going to throw in the mix to help add in a little bit of the heat. And where we're deviating from your traditional coleslaw is where we're going to be getting started with making, our dressing. And this is a spicy mayonnaise. I've made it with hot sauce and just mixing hot sauce and mayo to your preference to make sure that you get the level of heat that you like. Or this is just some pre-made sriracha mayo, and that's going to be the base of our zesty slaw. And this has been really, really good on PoBoys, seafood PoBoys. This has been really, really good on tacos, especially shrimp tacos. It's 2 tablespoons. We're going to go for about 4 tablespoons, maybe 5. Nah, we're going to go with 4. Four tablespoons there of our sriracha mayo. Okay, I lied. We're going to add just a little bit more. So about 4.5 tablespoons of sriracha mayo. And I'll do that. Oof. To that, we're going to add another 2 tablespoons. I don't know why I said 2 weird like that, but 2 more tablespoons of just apple cider vinegar. All right. Set that right there. Actually, right here. Cover our apple cider vinegar and move our sriracha mayo out of the way. Whisk up our dressing here, get everything started a little bit. I'm gonna move my cutting board. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt and Give me one moment. Salt and black pepper. And guess what? The one other ingredient, I did have to borrow some baking powder or baking soda from culinary. I'm not going to borrow anything else. So we're going to make an adjustment on the fly. Salt and black pepper to taste usually. We're getting zesty. I'm going PoBoys. We're going to, well, to quote a celebrity chef, I'm going to kick it up a notch. Since I don't have black pepper, we're going to break into a little sprinkle here of the red pepper. Already added salt. We're going to do just a little bit of red pepper. And we're going to whisk it all up there and get everything good and combined. And apparently get some all over me in the process. But there we go. So that's our dressing ready to go. Next up is going to be, what do we want to start with? Carrots? Nah. We're going to go with the cabbage. We're going to do cabbage. Then we're going to add in some of the fresh jalapeno. So got the cabbage here. We're not going to use the full head, of course, because that would be way too much. I'm just going to go for, oh, there's my timer. So let me check on my cookies before I get to cut. Give these a flip. Oh yeah, they're already looking pretty good. All right, cookies are halfway done. We're going to set a timer for 10 minutes. All right, and while that's going, we got our other timer going for 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna use about maybe a quarter of this head of cabbage to make my slaw. Between a quarter and a third, it's a really rough measurement. Yeah. And there we go for that. So that's green cabbage, and we're gonna get it chopped up really nice and fine. And remember, safety first always. Don't put your fingers out. I'm usually, when I'm cutting, and I'm not professionally trained, like our wonderful culinary instructors here at Southern Crescent, I'm just a home cook. But be careful holding your knife. Make sure your knives are sharp. Dull knives are what cause a lot of really bad injuries in the kitchen and just bad knifemanship. So I'm not picking my knife up from my cutting board. I'm also not, I don't have my fingers out. I have the ends of my fingers tucked in, as you see, to keep them safe. And I'm just kind of using that. I'm not even really moving my knife so much as I'm just trying to shift the cabbage to go under the blade as it falls. And you could, if you look, you might even be able to see that my knife isn't just going up. We got a little bit of a back and forth, kind of like a rotor on a train. Like a locomotion. Alright. Sometimes you might just try to go faster than you can. This isn't exactly the best knife out of my kitchen, but also wasn't going to be bringing my best knife out of the kitchen. And this is going to be a slaw for a side. It's also what we're going to be putting on top of our, excuse me, we're going to be putting this on top of our PoBoy. I'm just going back through and giving a rough little second chop so we don't have any like big old chunks of cabbage coming through our bites of slaw. So there's our green cabbage ready to go. Red cabbage, get down to the core. And again, just going to be taking off about maybe a third of this head of cabbage. Quarter to a third, somewhere around there. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to be the most accurate with this. But I think that's going to be plenty. We're going to have a good bit of cabbage. And I'm going to have some going home, I'm sure. All right. Ooh. That's some deep red cabbage, too. All right, I'm going to, just so I don't get red all over the place, no, I did not set the alarms off in the kitchen. I'm sorry for my delay on verbally responding to questions and stuff in chat. I'm bouncing back and forth. Usually, I get chat from both Facebook and YouTube simultaneously, but that unfortunately is not working for me right now. So, all right, just so I don't get purple all over the place, but also we have a jalapeno that's already been washed. I'm going to be cutting that thing up really into slivers to go into here as well and give an extra little bit of kick to the slaw. Whew. We're just gonna pull that over here to the middle. Sometimes you just gotta go that route. And the unfortunate thing, I'm convinced there is no way to cut up cabbage without that stuff getting all over your surface. So, that's the cabbage. We're going to cut up the jalapeno, and I'm going to be preparing this and serving it for some of my coworkers around me today. So I'm going to be considerate. And this is a garden fresh jalapeno, just picked about 2 days ago out of my backyard. So just to make sure, as you see, you get a lot of heat from the membrane and the seeds on peppers, any kind of hot pepper. So we're just gonna cut that out. I just want the green jalapeno to go into my slaw. And if you didn't know this, nice little trick with some of these peppers, you can just take a teaspoon, scrape along the membrane, and get all the seeds and everything out in one fell swoop. This is the real reason I'm wearing gloves. As you see, I wear glasses, and sometimes I wear contacts. If you've ever tried to take contacts out or put contacts in after handling jalapenos, no matter how many times you've washed them, it's gonna hurt. So, all right. Usually, I'm being a dummy here. The best way to cut a pepper is to go from the flesh side, not the skin side. So, I'm just gonna get some really thin julienne style slices here across. And after I get this cut up, I'm gonna go across the horizon and just get some, that's a good smelling jalapeno too. And just get everything a little smaller, get it diced up. That way we can hopefully get some jalapeno all the way through this coleslaw. Because doesn't that sound great? Alright. And last but not least, our carrots. So I have 3 medium-ish carrots, I would say, give or take. And I'm just going to, very simply, I got them washed. I'm just going to cut the ends off here. I'm going to check my timer, make sure cookies have about a minute left. How are we doing here? Oh yeah, they're just about ready to come out and cool, which will be awesome. All right. So I'm just gonna take off the outer layer of these carrots real quick. Don't have a peeler, I'm just using the edge of my knife right there. I don't know why I cut off the top. That could have been a handle, but it's all right. And the measurements, like I had for the slaw, I had the dressing, it was 4.5 tablespoons of spicy mayonnaise. I'm using sriracha mayo here. And then 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. The cabbage was about between 1/4 and 1/3 of a head of red cabbage and green cabbage. And honestly, depending on how many veggies, how veggie heavy you like your coleslaw to be, you can play with that a little bit. It's not really a wrong way to do it. All right, and just for the carrots, I usually like to do this with a Kevlar glove, but I forgot it. And we're just gonna shred that up. I'm gonna pull these cookies out of the oven real quick. Let them cool. And look at that. I think we got a couple of them with some extra done bottoms, but that'll be just fine. All right. Whew. And pan number 2. I'm gonna set this over here. Cooling rack. All right. All right, got those on the cooling rack. Cookies are ready to go. And we're just gonna get the carrot shredded up here. Our oil is ready to fry. So once we get this made up and let it think about what it's done, we're going to be getting to frying our tilapia. Okay, that's 1 carrot. Stuff like onion and lettuce and cabbage, if you got to cut it up, it's just so easy because it's got those layers. Carrot's annoying. All right, and last carrot, last veggie. Another thing that I would have a better tool for in my kitchen. I do have, if you ever need to know, if you ever had thought about getting a mandolin, it's really nice. A mandolin slicer. That would have had this whole thing done 2 minutes ago, but there we are. I'm just gonna get everything knocked off there. Knife we're not quite done with. Shredder. And let me okay. So cutting board. And we're just gonna toss everything to combine here. Get all that dressing, all that cabbage, the carrots, the jalapeno mixed up and stirred up. And we're gonna just let that sit and mingle while we get to the real main attraction and what this is gonna be going with. All right, check that out. We got our salt, pepper, spicy mayo in there, apple cider vinegar, and the color to that. Just look. That red cabbage makes it so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to park this in a chill chest real quick. From there, all right, this is going to go in the chill chest. We're going to get started on the fish next, which I know, Miss Dodie, that's what you're waiting for me to get started on. Our oil is ready. Fish is about to be seasoned. Sandwich is about to get made. Okay, so let me get this stuff wiped down real quick. While I'm wiping this station down and getting ready to get started on the grand finale, let me preface what I'm about to do and what I'm about to say with this. Yes, I prefer fresh caught fish. Fresh caught. You didn't get lunch today? You're gonna get some lunch. So, I got a feeling. I just want to go ahead and head this off. There we go. This is what I'm gonna say. I want to head this off. Well, we're just not. I'm gonna stop beating around the bush. It's tilapia. I'm working with tilapia. I'm working with frozen tilapia. And I looked at myself like I didn't know what was going on the first time I did this too. Trust me, it'll work. It's not quite going to have that same, that same authenticity, that same flavor and all that we're gonna get out of excuse me, that we're going to get out of something like catfish or crappie, but it'll do the trick. Excuse me, I had the hiccups for a second there. So we're just going to open this up, and yes, I'm getting on to myself internally for using the same cutting board, but this is the last time this cutting board is getting used. I'm not using the cutting board for anything else following the fish. And the only thing I've used for it so far has been vegetables, so we should be good to go. So, I've got whole fillet tilapia, freshly thawed, freezer bag, picked it up from Kroger. And it's just going to be very simple. I'm just going to cut the piece here into some fingers. We're going to make some fish fingers, as you see. So we're just going to get like maybe 4, at the most 5 strips out of each tilapia fillet. And you can do this with any kind of fish that you prefer. You can do this with shrimp. Tilapia is readily available and cheap. Particularly cheap for me right now. I had to make a run by Kroger yesterday though, and I was looking long and hard at some of those catfish nuggets they had. Ooh, them babies look good. All right. So, we have our fish strips here, fish fingers. I'm going to take this knife. We're done with the knife. I'm going to go wash my hands off. And then, season. All right, so our oil back there is getting nice and hot. It's done got nice and hot. Now, let me also mention, typically, I would be bathing these suckers in Old Bay. But there is an issue right now in that I can't find Old Bay in Griffin. And I used the last bit of my Old Bay. I used the last bit of my Old Bay over the weekend. I'm sorry. But we're going to try to make some other Bay for this. So I'm just going to sprinkle these up, season them all. And we want to add a little bit of salt here to our breading. This is what we're going to be tossing everything in, all of our tilapia in to get fried. It is just an equal part mix of all-purpose flour and cornmeal. Good old-fashioned stone ground cornmeal. I didn't season up my batter, so I'm going to season that up as well as my fish. I'm going to give this a shake before I start putting my fish in. Cajun seasoning. This will be the next best thing to our Old Bay, yeah? We're going to be going in and reinforcing and adding more of what's in here. Anyway, so we're going to do a little bit of this Cajun seasoning all over them. A little bit of ground red pepper. Add a little bit of that red pepper here to our bread. All right, so Cajun seasoning, red pepper, salt, all good to go. Paprika, can't forget your pap. Got smoked paprika, a little bit more into the bread in there, just like that. And then garlic powder, because you can never have too much garlic powder in my book. Yeah. And don't be shy about it. It's a whole lot easier to under-season things than it is to over-season things. And it's a whole lot easier, it's a whole lot more effective to add salt on the front end of cooking than it is to add salt after something is cooked. So let me put this up. All right, we have our fish. We have our breading. I'm going to use a hand here, or use a glove here so I can keep my hands clean so that I can grab stuff. I checked on our popsicles while I was walking around and they're coming along pretty well. I hope we got them at least some level of frozen before I get done here and before I sign off. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm not leaving anything behind. We're just going to do that and toss all of our fish here into our breading powder. And there we go. So, I would typically do this by hand. I'm in the interest of being a little bit more quick right now. So we're going to shake and bake. And I'm going to get us transitioned here to our frying pan. Which, while I'm there, I'm going to have my back piece, so I apologize. Miss Doty, you know I don't play around. Alright, so our old bath is nice and hot. I'm going to adjust our camera a little bit, make sure we got a good angle going down into that fat fryer. And we about to go to town. Alright, perfect. So I'm just giving our fish fingers a toss here in the breading. We're going to shake off all that breading that we can before we dump it in the fryer. And we're going to go one piece by one piece. Make sure we don't crowd the oil too much. So it might take us a couple of phases to get everything cooked, but that will be just fine. So I'm going to drop some in, and then we're going to get our draining rack ready to go for them. Just like that, we got our fish floating in the oil, frying up nice. All right. I'm going to leave those right there real quick. I'm going to get our draining station. All right, so we've got our tilapia cooking. I got a station getting made up here to drain the grease on. I'll set some paper towel down in there just to catch all that grease. I say all that grease. I shouldn't have all that grease, but you know. So make sure we got our chat checked up on. Cool. All right. And just like that, we've already got some of our fish ready to go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead, drop in some more of our fish fingers to fry, pull out what's getting ready and getting done. And while the rest of them are cooking, I'm going to get our bread ready for the sandwich. I'm gonna pull this over here real quick. We're gonna change the camera angle from the fryer just so I can show this. I'm kind of proud of it. Where are we? There we go. So, first few pieces of fish done. We've only got a couple more. I'm about to throw these in the fat as well. That is 4 strips of our tilapia. I'm going to let it cool off a little bit so that I can handle it. We're going to go back to that wonderful jacuzzi footage and watch the fish fry. All right. And one thing while that's going that I'll mention, if you're someone that does a lot of deep frying, especially me being someone growing up in the South, I'm used to frying during the summer. I'm used to frying vegetables. I'm used to frying fish. Handy thing to know, if you didn't know this already, is that with a lot of our frying oils that are pretty high tolerance, they can be recycled a few times. You can fry in it a couple of times. So what I'm going to be doing, because this is fresh oil, and I'm not burning the heck out of it, I'm not frying too much out of it. After it cools down, I'm going to strain it, put it through a filter, get all the crumbs out, anything that's fallen off of the breading of the fish, and clear it out to just be clear oil. It's going to be a little darker from having that heat stress, but it'll still be good to go for about 2 or 3 more rounds of cooking, depending on what we're cooking in there. So let me check on how the kids are in the pool. Oh yeah. Turn off our oil, scoop out the last of our fish. Let me go get a knife cleaned up so that I can put this sandwich together. And I'm gonna leave y'all with this wonderful, wonderful view with some freshly fried tilapia. It's about to be going on to our Kick Cajun PoBoy. It's spicy enough, I can call it Kick Cajun. Well, I forgot one thing. You might want to make sure it's not too spicy before someone else does. All right. So, a PoBoy. I had to find my bread. So we're gonna go rustic. Set it out here, actually. What I'm gonna do, I'm confusing myself and thinking too much. That is the problem. So, I just want to line some brown paper on here because I'm going to take some samples around here in a minute as well. All right. So, first and foremost, I'm going to take this little bitty piece right here. Oh, I need to transition. Sorry about that. Okay. So, that is some delicious fried fish. Thank you for your compliments, Miss Gale. And that's right. I will say, from my experience, I think peanut oil lasts the longest for reusing and refrying. I've been using vegetable and canola oil. Usually I get 3 to 4 cooks out of it, depending on how much what I'm cooking and how much I'm cooking at a time. All right. So, let's make a PoBoy, shall we? All that fish is about to be going on this sandwich. And I'm just gonna come in, pluck up just a little bit of the bread. Oh, I'm too far back for my own good here. So I'm just plucking up a little bit of the bread's core, just to kind of give some room there for our tilapia fillet, or fingers, to go in. You didn't see me do that. All right, so we're not going to worry about putting too much on here. This is going to be really, really simple. And it's going to be as simple as this. Let me go get our coleslaw. Okay, so we have our fish, we have our coleslaw. I see Miss Doty commenting on Facebook, and she's talking a lot of game, but she ain't coming around here to see for herself. I'm just saying. All right. So, first thing first. Let me make sure that this is up to par. I'm going to get myself a little bite here of the slaw. And some of y'all know I don't do slaw. This kind of slaw I like. Let me see here. Yep. Spicy. Spicy with the fish. That is going to be off the chain. So, here's what we're doing. We're going to take our coleslaw, and we're just going to make a bed on top of our bread. It's good and spicy. I might have made it spicier than I anticipated. Miss Doty will enjoy it. And I'm probably going to enjoy a bite of this too. All right, so we've got our slaw, and I'm not going to be stingy. I'm going to add a little bit more. We're going to do some cuts of slaw on the side as well, and that slaw is nice and spicy. Okay, so we're just going to take our fish fingers and stack them up on there. Just stack them up. We got some more fish fingers to snack on later. Heck yeah. And because I want my PoBoy to be struggling to stay on the bread like that sometime. So. And just like that, we got a little bit of a mess around, but that'll be all right. Just like that, we've got a big old fish PoBoy overflowing with some slaw. So, we've got that. I'm going to set up some slaw cup here. We'll get a couple of slaw cuts on the side in case anybody wants some. Man. If you'd have told me when I was a kid that I was going to be pulling on all that stuff I did in 4-H right now, I don't know if I'd have believed you. I really don't. But here we are. All right. Let me move my knife. So, we've got our slaw, we've got our fish, we've got our PoBoy sandwich with the slaw on top, and I'll be right back with our other goodies. Cool. All right. Got our slaw, got our sandwich, and we can't forget dessert. We got a couple of peanut butter cookies right there. And our homemade popsicles. Look at that. That's awesome. That was what? 2 hours cooking everything, getting everything set up one by one. This could be a simple start to finish dinner, ready to go within, what, an hour? You can do this within an hour for your family easily, with your family even. Get the kids to mix up the peanut butter cookies, fry up the fish yourself, and just like that. We still got our popsicles getting frozen, but we have one example here. I'm not gonna pull it out yet because as you can see, it's still got some squeeze, but it's a smoothie. You can drink it. Personally, I'm looking forward to getting that frozen treat out of there. But thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you're watching live, thank you for tagging along. Thank you for chatting, everybody who's been active on Facebook, everything who has been active on YouTube as well. If you're watching, whether you're watching live or if you're watching a recording, send me an email. My name's Joel Bishop. I'm your student activity coordinator. I need to remember that my camera is here. But send me an email, comment on here on Facebook or on YouTube. Make sure that you have liked our page, SCTC Activities, Southern Crescent Technical College. Excuse me. Make sure that you have subscribed on YouTube and that you click that bell so that you can get notifications whenever we do go live. As we continue on through social distancing measures and continue to do our best to provide services and programs for student activities and student support services at Southern Crescent, these live streams are going to continue. They're going to make a return. So if you have any recipes that you would like to share, that you would like to see me feature, I'm going to try to do a stream like this at like maybe once a month, once every 6 to 8 weeks, give or take. So I would love for y'all to participate, share some of your recipes that you would like to see me cook, and I'll happily get those involved and incorporated into the cycle. Otherwise, I want to say thank you again to Dr. McCurry. Thank you to Chef Lisa Mobley and the culinary program at Southern Crescent as a whole for letting me have access to your kitchen, your lab, and cook today in a real kitchen. It's nice to get to have some of these tools. But like I said, everything that I've used today, everything that I've done today has been done with consumer grade tools, equipment, and supplies. So feel free to tweak some of the recipes. I'm going to come back here to Facebook, check the YouTube comments. I'm going to come back and update with the recipes for our smoothie popsicles, for our peanut butter cookies, our coleslaw, and our fish PoBoy. Otherwise, thank y'all so much. I know I have some people that know exactly where I am right now, and they're waiting for the word to say go. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. I appreciate y'all supporting us at Southern Crescent today. And like I said, make sure to like and subscribe and sign up for notifications. You'll know when we go live. We'll be back here in the fall semester with Tiger Bites Part 2. And we're going to have some more programs coming up for the summer semester as well. So make sure that if you're an enrolled student right now, keep an eye on your student emails. That's how we're going to be getting all of these announcements and all of these programs set out to you. Otherwise, my friends that are waiting for the word to go ahead and come visit, come on down. But otherwise, everybody have a fantastic afternoon, a great evening, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Thank y'all. Take care.